Hi guys, I hope you're well. In this video I want to discuss some food source considerations within a fat loss phase and a muscle building phase. As I've discussed many times before, within the fat loss phase with regards to nutrition, the most important factors are the protein target and the daily calorie figures. In addition to that, that therefore means you can let your personal preference dictate your food sources. You can ultimately have whatever you choose as long as you fit those daily protein and calorie targets. Now, that being said, you still want to focus on the majority of the food sources from high nutrient dense foods, things that are high in micronutrients. That therefore means mainly having single ingredient whole foods. However, you can still have some processed food in moderation. As long as you're meeting these daily nutrition targets, you're having lots of fruits and vegetables, lots of single ingredient whole food, in addition to a good fiber target. And that allows adherence to the plan within the fat loss phase to be much better, because you're having some of these processed foods in moderation to help negate any cravings. Now, that being said though, it's really important to realize that that wouldn't necessarily be a wise move to have lots of processed food within the fat loss phase, even though you could do this to meet your daily nutrition targets and lose body fat. The reason why is probably the biggest reason is, in addition to losing body fat and trying to maintain muscle mass within the fat loss phase, the next thing that can be very difficult to manage is hunger. And typically single ingredient whole foods tend to be higher in fiber, therefore more satiating, therefore having more of these foods allows you to stick to the plan for longer. Whereas if you're having lots of junk food, lots of processed food within the fat loss phase, because your calories are less, because these foods typically don't have the same volume as certain single ingredient whole foods. So for example, vegetables are a great example, very low in calories, but you could have a lot of volume, i.e. a lot of vegetables within your diet, and not make a big dent into your calorie figures. Whereas some other processed foods, you have a small amount and it can easily have a significant dent into your calorie figures, and therefore hunger becomes a real problem by having lots of these foods within the fat loss phase. So it's just worthwhile considering this. And even though you can have some of these more processed foods within the fat loss phase, because as I mentioned, it's more about the daily nutrition targets are the most important factors, it wouldn't necessarily be a wise move just because hunger becomes a real issue and therefore adherence becomes a real problem. Now, on the flip side, within the muscle building phase, we have the opposite problem. The opposite problem can be getting in enough calories for growth, and therefore we don't have hunger isn't necessarily the issue. The issue is just getting in enough calories. And then within the muscle building phase, if you're struggling to get in your daily nutrition targets, it's worthwhile focusing on especially carbohydrate sources slightly lower in fiber. Potentially having more processed carbohydrates can be a good option, just because it just makes it that much easier to actually meet those nutrition targets without being exceptionally full. Now, that being said, I'm not saying you should just be fitting as much junk within your muscle building phase. You should still be having the majority of your foods from single ingredient whole foods. However, if you're in a position where you're not meeting those nutrition targets just because you're just relying on single ingredient whole food sources, not focusing on the most important factor, which is meeting the daily nutrition targets, and therefore it will be worthwhile considering some lower fiber carbohydrate options, potentially some more processed carbohydrate options to help you meet these daily nutrition targets. Hopefully that's helped. Hopefully you can see the difference between the fat loss phase and the muscle building phase. Again, I just want to clarify, the majority of the food should still come from single ingredient whole foods, so you don't prevent any micronutrient deficiencies to get sufficient fiber. And you also have to consider trying to negate hunger within the fat loss phase, and then also trying to get in enough calories within the muscle building phase. So hopefully that's been useful, hopefully that's helped, hopefully that's made sense. If you've liked the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care.